Nosso quarto episódio é um retrato dos anos 30. Você logo descobrirá por que o chamamos Tempos de Tormenta. Maio de 1932. E havia algo de muito errado na terra da fartura.
There were those of us who felt that America was teetering on the brink of revolution.
I was 11 years old, but how well I remembered. It was like the skies had grown dark, thunder, and all of a sudden, faces were tragic, and people were walking around in the hallways of our building and in the streets with inquiring eyes and saying, has it happened to you? Has it happened to us? What is happening?
O colapso da Bolsa de Valores de Nova York em 1929 foi apenas o sinal mais visível de uma crise econômica muito profunda. Uma crise que logo se espalhou de Wall Street para as outras ruas. Marianne Johnson vivia na Califórnia quando a Grande Depressão chegou em sua casa.
I was 11 when the crash came. My father at that time, along with a few friends, owned a small grocery store. One day he came home and he laid $2 on the table in the kitchen. And he said, no more store. Everything is gone. And that was the end. For us, it was the end.
A cada dia, mais falências, mais demissões, mais gente com menos dinheiro nos bolsos. Com medo de perder o pouco que sobrar, as pessoas correram para os bancos para retirar suas economias. Mas os bancos também estavam com pouco dinheiro. Um ano depois da quebra, 800 haviam falido. 9 milhões de contas de poupanças desapareceram.
There was a janitor called George Gallys who had $1,000 in the Bank of the United States. It had taken Gallys 40 years to save $1,000. After spending 2 nights and 2 days in the pouring rain outside this shuttered, locked bank, literally beating on the walls with his hands in frustration, he realized he was never going to see 10 cents of his money. And he went back to the basement where he lived, and he hanged himself in despair. That's what bank failures did. They crushed tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of ordinary people like George Gallys. They felt they had only themselves to blame. This was a different generation. This was a generation that had grown up with the old faith, the faith in self-reliance, that people had to stand on their own 2 feet. They didn't say the government has failed me. They said, I'm to blame. I failed in this American system of ours. It's my fault.
Um ano após a quebra, 4 milhões de famílias americanas não tinham nenhum meio de se sustentar. E pior, não sabiam como pedir ajuda. E o governo não sabia o que fazer.
In 1930, the American people had almost no sense of the national government. There was the post office. Occasionally you'd see a soldier on the street. The national government had very little direct impact on the lives of ordinary Americans.
There were no parachutes in those days. There was no Social Security, no unemployment insurance, no nothing. You just were on your own.
Greves e protestos se espalhavam e tornavam-se mais raivosos e violentos. 3 anos após Joseph Stalin ter previsto a morte do capitalismo, 100 mil americanos se mudaram para a União Soviética para ajudar a construir o comunismo.
There was work for anybody that wanted to work. There was none of this going around with your hat in your hand and tears in your eyes begging for a job. It seemed to be a land of great promise at that time.
Foi a única vez na história que mais pessoas estavam deixando a América do que vindo a ela. Aos poucos, a Grande Depressão espalhou-se como um vírus muito além das fronteiras americanas.
Hunger marches, signs of the political times.
Les charitables ont créé en plein centre de Paris cette soupe populaire.
Na Alemanha, a situação estava se tornando perigosa. A depressão apenas tornara piores as duras condições resultantes da derrota alemã na Primeira Guerra Mundial.
There was real poverty. There was mass unemployment. And because of this, there were protest marches, demonstrations, street fightings. The unemployed people, they walked through the town and they shouted slogans, give us bread, give us work.
There was so much unrest, so much disorder.
Dass der Schrei nach einem Führer oder
We needed a powerful leader,
uns da herausführen
a
konnte.
powerful man to lead us out of it.
The first time I saw the Nazis, they marched around in town with brown shirts on. They had proper uniforms and they had music and they had flags. And I remember how it impressed me. Something military. And we children, we ran along them and tried to sing their songs.
O líder do movimento nazista sabia instintivamente que a sua oportunidade estava no sofrimento da Alemanha. Adolf Hitler disse aos desmoralizados alemães que ele podia curá-los da doença que os acometera.
His speeches, they were rousing. He started always off quietly.
Kampfziel erhoben.
Then he talked about ordinary things and then he worked himself up. Saying something like, our enemies, they think we are the footmen of the world, and I promise you, I will erase all that. We demand our place in the sun, which is rightly ours, and I will lead you there. I will lead you there, I promise it. We had tears in our eyes.
Em 1932, o partido nazista de Hitler, que crescia rapidamente, teve 37% dos votos nas eleições parlamentares. Embora não fosse majoritário, tinha o apoio de outros partidos. Hitler usou sua nova força para se tornar chanceler da Alemanha e destruir a oposição ao seu poder. No dia 31 de janeiro de 1933, seus seguidores celebraram sua ascensão ao poder, com um desfile iluminado por tochas nas ruas de Berlim. Impulsionada pelos tempos difíceis, começara a era nazista.
The procession moved on through the Wilhelmstraße. Martial music could be heard. The torchlights were gleaming and there was a strange light in the street. And there was this atmosphere of irreality almost. It's almost black magic. Hitler was able to arouse the masses in such a way that they forgot reason.
But he had charisma, no doubt about that. And he promised the people that they would get work. People were desperate, you see. People being desperate, they will run after a man like Hitler.
Es rund 1,2 Millionen zurückgegangen.
1932 foi também um ano de decisões para os americanos. O presidente republicano Herbert Hoover fez campanha para a reeleição, só para descobrir que, onde quer que fosse, seu nome se tornara sinônimo de fracasso. Favelas de desempregados chamavam-se Vilas Hoover. Jornais velhos eram cobertores Hoover. Bolsos vazios eram bandeiras Hoover.
The very first task of this country is to see that no man, woman, or child shall go hungry.
It was said of Hoover that even dogs took an instinctive dislike to him.
We have yet to go a long ways into capture.
And in the 1932 campaign, one man wired him, vote for Roosevelt and make it unanimous.
Strategy which we have established is
California, cast 44 votes for Franklin D. Roosevelt.
O governador de Nova York, Franklin Roosevelt, era o candidato do Partido Democrata. Fora vítima da polio em 1921. Era conhecido mais por seu charme do que por suas realizações. A maioria não sabia muito bem o que ele queria dizer ao prometer um New Deal, um plano social e econômico para o povo americano. Nem ele. Mas Roosevelt parecia otimista, confiante, e ele não era Herbert Hoover.
Our campaign slogan, Sissy.
Happy days are here again.
Good, that's right.
Roosevelt venceu com a maior margem de votos que a América já vira. E enfrentou talvez o maior desafio apresentado a um líder americano. Os 4 milhões de americanos desempregados em 1930 tinham se tornado 16 milhões em 1933, 35% da força de trabalho americana.
I, Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
No dia da posse, cerca de 100 mil pessoas enfrentaram a manhã fria de março para ouvir o que o novo presidente faria.
This great nation will endure as it has endured.
O primeiro movimento de Roosevelt foi no sentido de recuperar a confiança no sistema financeiro do país. Em uma decisão ousada, fechou os bancos da nação e ordenou ao Tesouro que injetasse neles 2 bilhões de dólares em moeda corrente.
Let me make it clear that the banks will take care of all needs.
The reaction was to his closing of the bank, thank God, somebody has come in and had done something.
Quando os bancos reabriram, os depósitos superaram as retiradas. Socorrer os bancos foi apenas o começo. Nos primeiros 100 dias na Casa Branca, Roosevelt imprimiu um ritmo de tirar o fôlego, regulamentando negócios, ajudando fazendeiros, injetando dinheiro novo na economia. O país jamais vira uma intervenção tão maciça na vida de seu povo. Roosevelt colocava pessoas na folha de pagamento do governo quando as empresas privadas não as contratavam com suficiente rapidez. Os delinquentes das estradas tornaram-se parte do grupo civil de conservação, plantando árvores e construindo estradas por toda a América.
They shipped us out to the bottom of Grand Canyon. We'd build trails, you know, for people coming in sightseeing. We got $5 a month, and they sent 25 home for your family to live on.
And here's was the federal government stepping in to help people. It may not have been enough. In some cases, it didn't help, but somebody was trying. And one had that feeling that maybe it was going to work.
With the sense of rising expectations, people are stirred out of their lethargy. And in 1934, there is the most radical mood of any year of the Great Depression.
O próprio presidente Roosevelt contribuíra para essa radicalização. Ele foi o primeiro presidente americano a dizer que os trabalhadores tinham o direito de se sindicalizar. Mas os patrões eram definitivamente contra os sindicatos. Na primavera de 1934, estivadores fecharam os portos ao longo de toda a costa do Pacífico. Em São Francisco, a greve tornou-se violenta. O funeral dos 2 grevistas assassinados reuniu 50 mil pessoas.
That funeral was so... It so shocked the city. It was so impressive.
That was enough to infuriate the people of San Francisco. So much, they said, we've had it. Every day we'll watch these longshoremen and seamen getting beaten and clubbed. We've had it up to our eyebrows. By God, whatever it takes to win this strike, we're going to win it. And they stopped. All worked. Even a barber says, we refuse to give a haircut to anybody until the strike is over. We sympathize with the union. We sympathize with the men. And so they shut the port down, shut the city down.
Little stores closed until our boys win.
The city was quiet as hell. Nothing moved for 4 solid days.
Os estivadores ganharam todas as reivindicações, incentivando trabalhadores do país inteiro a se levantar contra os patrões. Em 1934, houve mais de 1.800 greves pelo reconhecimento de sindicatos.
Coal miners, steel workers, warehouse, different people, packing house. They said if a bunch of starving seamen and longshoremen weathered the storm, then we could do it back in Pittsburgh. Or we could do it here, we could do it there.
O descontentamento e a frustração fizeram surgir vários demagogos. Entre eles, o carismático pregador de rádio, Padre Charles Coughlin. Dr. Francis Townsend, autoproclamado advogado dos idosos. Oradores radicais que apregoavam que o New Deal estava morrendo. Durante o ano de 1934, um dos pretensos salvadores conseguiu repercussão nacional e tinha ambições presidenciais. Era chamado de Peixe-Rei. O senador e ex-governador da Louisiana, Huey Long.
The best entertainment you had was when Huey came to town to speak.
Put it in to plow up every third row of cotton.
Everybody went to hear him, whether they were for him or against him. He was marvelous.
The Lord has answered the prayer. He has called the barbecue.
He used such expressive language.
He said the
You just had to listen.
5 million
E
Americans.
quando as pessoas ouviam, muitas descobriam que gostavam do que ouviam.
Every man a king, every man a king.
Long prometia uma casa, um carro e um rádio a todos os americanos. Em troca, ele queria poder. O poder absoluto.
You couldn't do anything in Louisiana unless you got his okay. He was vicious. And if you told him no, he'd knock you down.
He had built up a private police force. He had shown his contempt for the democratic processes, and that created a great deal of worry in Washington.
Não apenas os fazendeiros do Sul, mas os do meio-oeste, além de operários de fábricas de Nova York, filiavam-se aos comitês Dividir Nossas Riquezas. Em 1935, Franklin Roosevelt, em conversas privadas, referia-se a Huey Long como o homem mais perigoso da América.
When you have food riots, you have the makings of a dictatorship. Don't think you wouldn't do it too. You might vote the wrong way. He rose on the votes of the people, and Huey Long was rising on the votes of the people too.
Huey Long não teve chance de concorrer à presidência. Foi assassinado em setembro de 1935. Enquanto isso, o presidente Roosevelt trabalhava arduamente em sua agenda de governo, pressionando os congressistas a criar um programa de seguridade social, saúde pública para os pobres e empregos em obras públicas para 8 milhões de pessoas. Este momento foi chamado de o segundo 100 dias e ele deu uma nova forma à vida americana.
The legislation of the second 100 days gives an underpinning to the economy that's not been there before. There's now a system of unemployment compensation, of old age pensions. The United States, for the first time, has a centralized banking system. And by 1936, there are visible signs of recovery.
To me, the Roosevelt era revolutionized the perception of what government owes the people and what its role is.
We are fighting to save a great and precious form of government.
The programs that he put in were imperative for that period. And I think it was a godsend that we had him, and we maintained the democracy that we had all cherished.
Em campanha pela reeleição em 1936, Roosevelt dizia à multidão animada: "Vocês parecem mais alegres do que há 4 anos." E estavam. Franklin Delano Roosevelt foi reeleito pela maior margem de votos da história política da América. Mas, ao tomar posse de seu segundo mandato em janeiro de 1937, o New Deal de Roosevelt ainda não tinha derrotado completamente a depressão na América. E em 1937, a depressão na Alemanha já tinha acabado. Adolf Hitler cumprira sua promessa de dar emprego para o povo.
Unemployed people disappeared practically overnight. There were no young, healthy men standing at the corners of Berlin and begging around for pennies. People had jobs, were happy.
O segredo da nova prosperidade da Alemanha era o rearmamento. Havia muitos empregos para fabricar armas novas e poderosas. E para construir um sistema de estradas que servisse tanto para tanques quanto para carros.
It was also a kind of New Deal, but he was preparing for war.
O primeiro passo foi dado em março de 1936, quando tropas alemãs marcharam sem oposição nas terras à margem do Reno para reocupar o território perdido para a França após a Primeira Guerra Mundial.
He was leading us to the place of the sun. And I sincerely and honestly believed in all that. And when I came home and told my father, arguments started, and my mother often said, "No, Fritz, leave that boy alone. He can't help it that he is so brainwashed." And then I started again with my mother. "What do you mean by brainwashed them?" Now, of course, I realized my parents were right, but it's all too late.
Agora, Adolf Hitler tentaria cumprir uma outra promessa feita ao povo alemão. Construir um novo império alemão. Que, segundo ele, duraria 1000 anos. No verão de 1936, a cidade de Berlim havia se enfeitado para ser a sede dos Jogos Olímpicos.
Berlin was a lovely city. It was a happy city at that time. It was more attractive as a city for me than were London or Paris.
No mundo ainda abalado pela depressão, a capital da Alemanha nazista prosperava.
The Nazis used the Olympic Games of 1936 to try to project a positive image of the new Germany, to translate the athlete success into the success of National Socialism.
Durante as Olimpíadas, o lado mais feio do nacional-socialismo de Hitler ficou escondido.
There was no outward sign of anti-Semitism. There were no signs that were reported later on, of course. Jews and dogs forbidden. I never saw that sign during the games.
Mas a superfície sofisticada do espírito olímpico internacional não conseguiu encobrir totalmente a cruel realidade. Marty Glickman e Sam Stoller eram membros da equipe americana de revezamento.
The morning of the day we were supposed to run, we were told, Sam and I, that we were not going to run. No fit American track and field athlete has ever not competed in the Olympic Games, except Sam Stoller and me, the only two Jews on the track team.
Marty Glickman está convencido de que foi a política que o deixou fora da competição. Ele acha que o Comitê Olímpico Americano não quis constranger Hitler, colocando os judeus no pódio como vencedores. Quase tudo na Olimpíada parecia estar saindo como Hitler queria. Competição após competição, as vitórias alemãs pareciam sustentar sua noção de superioridade racial ariana. Mas então vieram os 100 metros rasos. As esperanças da equipe americana estavam depositadas no filho de um meeiro do Alabama, Jesse Owens.
Standing 10 yards behind Hitler. Hitler, hearing the name Jesse Owens, angrily pushed back his chair and with a deep growl on his face, walked right past me and walked out.
Naquele tenso verão de 1936, Owens voltou para casa com 4 medalhas de ouro.
The competition was grand. And we're very glad to come out on top. Thank you very kindly.
Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Wille und eine schönere deutsche Zukunft.
Também na Alemanha, os novos meios de comunicação faziam parte da máquina nacional de criar mitos. Joseph Goebbels, como ministro da propaganda de Hitler, controlava a imprensa escrita e explorava o poder das imagens e do som. Seguindo ordens de Goebbels, o governo colocou alto-falantes nas ruas e colocou rádios baratos à disposição de todas as lojas, escolas e lares. Todos os alemães agora estavam expostos à voz de Hitler.
To have a real radio now, that was fantastic. Every day there were political programs and so, and I learned a lot from the radio. I thought it was great, but father thought it was one of the main weapons now of brainwash.
Filmes da propaganda anunciavam um glorioso mundo germânico do futuro.
We were told that we were the top nation on earth. We were the chosen people. We were the Herrenrasse, as we called it, the master race. And that we were more intelligent and better looking and stronger than all the others. And that it was our God-given duty to force our life onto all the others.
Para exaltar a raça alemã em filme, Hitler escolheu o famoso cineasta alemão Fritz Lang. Lang, sabendo que não poderia dizer não a Hitler, fugiu para Paris. O poderoso cargo na propaganda foi para a segunda escolha de Hitler, a diretora Leni Riefenstahl. Seu filme Triunfo da Determinação utilizou a Conferência do Partido Nazista de 1934 com um vasto pano de fundo para fazer Hitler se parecer com um deus.
Military music was played and he marched down the center aisle, flanked by heaven knows how many gorgeously uniformed creatures. And then he would go behind the lectern, standing there, silent, waiting, until the tension rose. And then he would start.
Der 6. Parteitag der Bewegung geht zu Ende. Was für Millionen Deutsche, die außerhalb unserer Reihen stehen,
slowly revving up,
das große persönliche und geistige Treffen der alten Streiter als
until he finally reached a tremendous pitch.
Mannhof war, diese Führung zu behalten, wahrzunehmen und nicht mehr abzugeben. In ihrer Organisation stahlhart.
If you sat in an audience like that, you were swept along.
Die Jugend ist uns verschrieben und verfallen mit
Nunca antes a comunicação de massa havia sido tão eficiente. Nunca antes ela havia sido usada com um propósito tão simplista.
Meine Kommilitonen, deutsche Männer und Frauen, das Zeitalter eines überspitzten jüdischen Intellektualismus ist nun zu Ende.
Apenas 4 meses após Hitler subir ao poder, fogueiras queimavam nas ruas das cidades alemãs. As chamas eram alimentadas com livros escritos por Thomas Mann, Albert Einstein, Helen Keller, Sigmund Freud e outros autores considerados subversivos pelo povo alemão. A democracia alemã estava morta. O livro do próprio Hitler, Mein Kampf, Minha Luta, agora era o modelo para o futuro da Alemanha. Na nova Alemanha, capangas do partido nazista, chamados de camisas marrons, patrulhavam as ruas para prender quem quer que ficasse no caminho de Hitler. Milhares de adversários políticos foram enviados para centenas de campos de concentração. O primeiro ficava próximo à vila alemã de Dachau.
Everyone knew that you could be sent to such a camp without due process of law. We had a verse that was widely recited, Lieber Gott, mach mich stumm, dass ich nicht nach Dachau komm. Dear God, strike me dumb so that I won't be sent to Dachau.
Na Nova Alemanha, todos eram classificados por raça. E na Nova Alemanha, apenas aqueles que Hitler considerava perfeitos, os membros mais puros da raça ariana, eram bem-vindos.
Anti-Silent Group are the Jewish people, the Jews. We were being told that the Jews, they are behind everything which is bad in Germany.
There was a lot of propaganda against the Jews. There were no longer any normal newspapers. Most of them were Nazi. You saw headlines, the Jews are criminals, the Jews are vermin, they must be killed, they must be ousted.
Hitler havia declarado em seu livro que os judeus enfraqueciam a raça superior alemã.
Well, of course, we talked about race in school, and the superior races, the non-superior, the degenerate races. And the teacher had some calipers to measure the width of your eyes and your nose and so on, the head.
In our classroom, we had a poster. The head shapes from the sides. The Aryans, of course, they looked good from the sides, they looked good from the front. They were blonde and they were blue-eyed. And when I was about 14 years old, my hair began to darken, and I sometimes was worried that I didn't look like a proper Aryan anymore, because my hair was not really blonde anymore. And also my nose is a little bit hooked, as you might probably see. I sometimes then looked in the mirror, had another mirror here, and I was frightened that somebody should think that I had some Jewish connections.
2 years after they came to power, they came out with the Nuremberg racial laws, which separated the Jews from the German people. We were not allowed to go swimming with the other children. We were not allowed to play with the other children. We were not allowed to go on excursions with the other children, and so on.
Os judeus foram destituídos de sua cidadania, seus negócios eram boicotados. Eles foram proibidos de se casar ou ter relações sexuais com arianos. Qualquer traço caracteristicamente judeu significava expulsão imediata de qualquer emprego público.
I was classified a quarter Jew, a Mongol of the second degree. I was dismissed from the public service. All I had achieved through examinations, through studying and other efforts to establish myself in life, all that was by a stroke of the pen cut off.
Hitler havia transformado seu sonho para seu povo em realidade, e ele planejava impor esse sonho além das fronteiras alemãs.
And I remember when I was a guest with my mother at the Berchtesgaden, you could see on a clear day, you could see Salzburg. And he pointed out to me, he said, "You see that there, boy? That's Salzburg. That is in my homeland of Austria. And one of these days, I'm going to see to it that that will join with Germany."
Em 12 de março de 1938, Hitler deu início a seu plano. Os americanos ficaram sabendo através de Max Jordan, da NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, at the Austrian frontier town of Linz, an endless stream of German soldiers is pouring into Austria.
Foi impressionante. A invasão de um país transmitida ao vivo pelo rádio.
The cheers are for Chancellor Adolf Hitler, returning to his homeland for the first time in almost 25 years.
Carla Stept morava na capital austríaca, Viena. Ela tinha 20 anos e era judia.
It was my home. So when suddenly the Germans marched into Austria, where they were welcomed with open arms, the world ended for me.
It was a Friday evening. Crowds began to march down, shouting slogans. I remember one specifically, which was Jude verecke in eigenem Drecke, which translated means Jews perish in your own filth. And it was clear that something was imminent, something was happening.
Saturday morning, the brown shirts and black shirts already started to go against the Jewish population. They got Jewish men and women out to scrub the sidewalks on their knees, being kicked by the population standing around them. Hitler wasn't even in Vienna yet. But what took Germany 5 years took Austria 24 hours.
Na primavera de 1938, poucos americanos podiam evitar as notícias sobre Hitler na Alemanha.
Parade through Berlin's Tiergarten shows that once again Germany has a real army.
That would mean war. When will Nazi aggression end? The democratic nations draw together against
the... As if in warning to the rest of Europe, Hitler orders all Germany to mobilize at its full war strength. 1,5 million men...
A crescente ansiedade sobre o poder cada vez maior do Terceiro Reich transformou uma luta de boxe em junho de 1938 em um confronto internacional. Em um canto do ringue estaria o orgulho de Hitler, Max Schmeling. Do outro, o campeão americano Joe Louis.
Joe symbolized not only the fight against discrimination, but the struggle against fascism at a time when the entire world was talking about Hitler and Mussolini, anti-Semitism.
Under the ring, Max going around him. Joe Louis led quick with 2 straight lefts to the chin.
There was tremendous tension.
A left to the jaw, a right to the head, and Donovan is watching carefully.
I was glued to the radio.
Louis measures him, right to the body, a left hook to the jaw, and Schmeling is down.
We just exploded, shouted, wow.
The count is 5, 6. The men are in the ring. The fight is over. Max Schmeling is beaten in 1 round.
People shouted out of their windows, Joe won, all up and down the neighborhood.
And still champion, Joe
Louis! We won. It was a victory. And we needed victories very badly at the time.
Quando Milt Wolff, de 21 anos, soube da vitória de Joe Louis, ele já estava lutando contra Hitler na Guerra Civil Espanhola. Nessa guerra, a Alemanha nazista apoiava os rebeldes fascistas de Francisco Franco, que estavam prestes a derrubar o governo espanhol eleito pelo povo.
I was a kid in Brooklyn, okay, and I was caught up in this whole bit of the war in Spain. For myself, it was a commitment to a struggle against fascism.
Milt Wolff se juntou a 2.800 voluntários americanos na Brigada Abraham Lincoln. Desafiando a neutralidade americana, eles foram defender a democracia no que foi visto como um ensaio para a grande batalha contra Hitler.
So these were guys who were essentially coming off the street. Most of them had no military training at all. And up to the front they went. They were hitting us with artillery. And they were strafing us with the German planes. And guys were getting killed and wounded. For myself, the war in Spain gave meaning to the word anti-fascism.
Em 1938, a democracia já havia sido destruída na Espanha, como havia sido na Itália, na Áustria e na Alemanha. 12 de setembro de 1938. Todo o mundo civilizado, como disse uma transmissão da CBS, estava esperando ansioso para ouvir a próxima ameaça de Hitler. Ela foi divulgada numa transmissão ao vivo sem precedentes da conferência do Partido Nazista em Nuremberg. Hitler exigiu que os Sudetos, uma região da Tchecoslováquia onde a maioria da população falava alemão, se tornasse parte da Alemanha.
The Columbia Broadcasting System has brought its listeners the address by Adolf Hitler. At this time, we present H.B. Kaltenborn.
Good afternoon, everybody. Adolf Hitler has spoken, and the world has listened. The world has listened because it feared that this speech might mean war.
O primeiro-ministro britânico Neville Chamberlain, que nunca havia entrado em um avião antes, voou 2 vezes para a Alemanha em 10 dias em busca de um acordo pacífico.
just to see on the newsreel screen Chamberlain coming there with his umbrella. It's unthinkable to a German mind. Hitler with an umbrella, you know. You laugh when you think about that. We thought they were weak.
Chamberlain fracassou. Hitler se recusou a esquecer suas exigências. A região dos Sudetos seria dele de qualquer maneira. A guerra agora parecia inevitável. Na Grã-Bretanha, cidadãos nervosos começaram a construir abrigos contra bombas. Na França, reservistas foram chamados pelo exército. Então, apenas 24 horas antes da invasão da Tchecoslováquia anunciada por Hitler, o primeiro-ministro Chamberlain voou novamente para a Alemanha. Numa reunião em Munique com Hitler e Benito Mussolini da Itália, Chamberlain deixou os Sudetos para a Alemanha em troca do que ele chamava de paz em nosso tempo. Hitler deu sua palavra de que não haveria mais anexações territoriais. Chamberlain foi recebido como herói por uma Grã-Bretanha ansiosa por evitar outro conflito após o massacre da Primeira Guerra Mundial apenas 20 anos antes.
And here is the paper which bears his name upon it as well as mine. As symbolic of the desire of our two peoples never to go to war with one another again.
Chamberlain conseguiu o que ele considerava paz. Hitler conseguiu a região dos Sudetos.
To us Germans, it was a great thing. Their land is bordering on Germany, and as the Sudeten people were Germans, so we thought, yes, well, why should they live in Czechoslovakia?
Em 1º de outubro de 1938, Hitler deu as boas-vindas a 3,5 milhões de tchecoslovacos de sangue alemão ao Terceiro Reich. A recepção a Hitler foi a mesma da Áustria. Enquanto Hitler era aclamado na Tchecoslováquia, a campanha dos nazistas contra os judeus alemães se intensificava e ainda recebeu ajuda de um incidente em Paris. Em 7 de novembro, um jovem judeu, Herschel Greenspan, perturbado pela deportação de seus pais, invadiu a embaixada alemã em Paris e atirou em um oficial de baixo escalão, Ernest von Rath.
While he was fighting death, the newspapers carried headlines, banner headlines against the Jewish people. The Jews have taken off their mask from their face. They have shown now what they want to do to us. It was dreadful. We said, if only this man does not die. But of course he died.
A morte de von Rath se tornou uma oportunidade para Hitler. Mesmo sendo apenas um diplomata em início de carreira, von Rath recebeu as honras de um herói assassinado. A cerimônia foi planejada para inspirar vingança. Desta vez, disse Joseph Goebbels, os judeus deveriam sentir a ira do povo. Essa ira explodiu na noite de 10 de novembro de 1938. Kristallnacht.
I saw the synagogue in flames. People came from all over. The fire department came. They did not make one effort to put out the flames. Kids were laughing. Kids were having fun. I heard, kill the Jews, kill the Jews.
Durante 24 horas, soldados nazistas varreram a Alemanha e a Áustria, destruindo sinagogas e lojas. A noite do vidro quebrado, em alemão, Kristallnacht. Inúmeras pessoas morreram. Mais de 20 mil foram presas. Agora estava claro que não havia futuro para os judeus na Alemanha.
For the first time in America, it broke through a certain part of the awareness that something horrible was happening in Hitler's Germany. Roosevelt Roosevelt himself said he just was incomprehensible to imagine that such a thing could happen in the 20th century. And still people felt, we've seen what happened when we get involved in Europe's wars. This is Europe's problem.
Em março de 1939, 6 meses após o Acordo de Munique, que Neville Chamberlain pensou que Hitler honraria, Hitler quebrou sua promessa de não ocupar mais nenhum território e ocupou toda a Tchecoslováquia. E mesmo assim, a maioria dos americanos queria que os europeus resolvessem sua própria crise. Os Estados Unidos tinham em mente um futuro muito diferente.
Sound the brass, roll the drum. To the world of tomorrow we come.
No verão de 1939, Nova York sediou a feira mundial chamada de O Mundo do Amanhã. Os visitantes viram a televisão pela primeira vez.
How it worked, we did not know. I didn't ask. I was just in awe of the whole thing.
Confiante, a General Motors oferecia aos visitantes um futuro sem engarrafamentos. A General Electric sonha com uma vida mais fácil, com uma máquina de lavar louças.
All of the dreams of the future were suddenly going to be materialized. Machines were going to make us better people.
And here he comes, ladies and gentlemen, walking up to greet you under his own power.
It was like science fiction for me, 12 years old, waiting to see the world of tomorrow.
Come hail the dawn of a new day.
As bandeiras de 60 nações tremulavam na feira. Apenas uma grande potência estava ausente. A Alemanha havia sido convidada, mas Hitler tinha se recusado. Ele tinha seus próprios planos para o mundo do amanhã. No último dia de agosto, visitantes desfrutavam mais uma noite festiva na feira.
As we were approaching the Polish pavilion, the lights went out. And we didn't know whether it was an electrical problem or what, because the rest of the fair was still lit. All of a sudden, a loudspeaker went on, and they had announced that Germany had just marched into Poland.
De repente, o mundo do amanhã havia perdido seu brilho.
And here is the United Press flash from Warsaw, which says officially that German planes have bombed railway stations in 3 Polish towns.
I am speaking to you from the Cabinet Room at 10 Downing Street. This country is at war with Germany.
I remember the broadcaster in London saying, and I'll never forget that sentence he used, "Tonight the lights are going out all over Europe and no one knows when they'll ever come back on."
Na primavera de 1940, Hitler apontou sua Blitzkrieg, ou Guerra Relâmpago, contra os países da Europa Ocidental.
I think at that time probably he was at the top point of his power. 6 weeks to beat Poland in 18 days, to occupy Norway and Denmark, to beat Holland in 5 days and Belgium in 17 days. I think those who doubted him, they then thought, oh, that man is just superb. He wins everything.
Então a França caiu em apenas 6 semanas. Em 14 de junho, tropas alemãs entraram em Paris. Junto com a queda da França, aviões alemães começaram a atacar a Grã-Bretanha, a última fortaleza democrática da Europa. Mesmo assim, os Estados Unidos ficaram de fora. O presidente Roosevelt conseguiu ajudar a aliada Inglaterra com um programa para desembarcar e armar seus exércitos. Mas quando a Grã-Bretanha se tornou a última defensora da liberdade na Europa, o envolvimento americano se tornou cada vez mais inevitável. Em dezembro de 1940, começou o primeiro recrutamento em tempo de paz da história americana. As Forças Armadas Americanas estavam em péssimo estado. O exército tinha menos de 200 mil homens, menos que a Holanda ou Portugal.